Menopause symptoms are all BS. That's what they keep telling you, gaslighting you. But I'm here to tell you the actual BS. That's what we're talking about here on the Morning Pause. Good morning. I am Tanya Gustafson, your board certified nutritionist, hormone coach, and behavior specialist, helping women take back control of their health, hormones, weight, and roll back those menopause symptoms the world keeps telling you you have to accept and you don't. So BS, right? We all know what it stands for or what we use it for. But what it stands for in this case is blood sugar. So I'm getting back to the basics here. So for all you newbies, or for those of you who have followed along for a while, maybe you jumped in the middle and you're not quite sure. BS, blood sugar. Blood sugar is the basis of our metabolism, and it is where it all starts. You know, if you want to put your body back into balance, and really you should. I know we talk a lot of things about balance, and sometimes people say, well, there is no such thing as balance. There's seasons, and yeah, okay, that works for your work life, your career life, but your body wants to be in homeostasis. That's the scientific word for balance, and it fights like heck to put you there. So when you're doing things that fight against that and work against what your body's naturally designed to do, the chaos starts. Think about how exhausting it is if you're having an argument with someone, your kid, your spouse, your friend. You're just exhausted later, right? Like you're not happy for most of the day, and it takes a lot of energy, right? All that back and forth and the justifying, whatever. We all know nobody argues well, right? Anyway, it's exhausting regardless of how you do it. Even if you're trying to mitigate it, and you use good language, and you're respectful and calm, and you talk things out, the whole mental stress of everything is kind of exhausting. It's kind of tiring, right? That's what's going on inside your body. It gets exhausted when it's spending most of its time trying to bring you back into balance. Now, blood sugar is key. So when you put your body into balance with your blood sugar, first of all, let's talk about how do you get your body out of balance. So it's very important to be in balance. We've established that. If you know someone who's diabetic or has trouble with their blood sugars, or looking to bring it down a little bit, maybe pre-diabetic, those people are hyper focused on getting their blood sugar balanced, right? The problem is they do it reactively, not proactively. So being proactive is a way that's going to keep your body in balance, keep your blood sugar stable. And why is that important for menopause? Because in order to balance your hormones, your blood sugar has to be balanced. They are like twins, they're twinsies, they're twinning. And if your blood sugar is not balanced, your hormones cannot be balanced either. Okay, so we need to establish that nice firm foundation, having the blood sugar balanced, and having and so that we can then help support our hormonal balance. So there we go. That's the basis of that. So how do you get your body out of balance? Well, a lot of things you do or don't do every day are just knocking it right off track. So skipping breakfast, if you're not a breakfast person and you skip that breakfast, that's one thing that's going to help tank your blood sugar. Waiting too long between meals. So maybe you eat breakfast, but then maybe you skip through, you don't have any snack for coffee break, you don't eat lunch because you're rushed, and you sort of grab something in the middle of the afternoon, and then you figure, well, I'll make it all up at dinner. It's not your friend. Trust me. That is your body's blood sugar dropping for most of the day. And then eating, spiking your blood sugar. So spiking your blood sugar will store fat. Tanking your blood sugar will burn muscle, because your brain never shuts off. So every time your blood sugar drops and you don't respond to that, your brain needs food, and it needs glucose, but it needs a dense nutrient source to turn to glucose to feed the brain. And so therefore it won't take it from your stored fat. The only dense nutrient source in your body that's available is your muscle. So it needs to eat away at that. So if you've ever had that gnawing hunger feeling, yeah, say hungry down below if you have, you know what I'm talking about. That's your body feeding off itself. It's eating its own muscle. Yeah, not a good picture, I know, right? Not a good look. And we don't want that to happen. So you definitely want to make sure that you are keeping your blood sugar stable, because the other side of the coin is when your blood sugar spikes. And like I just mentioned, every time your blood sugar spikes, your body stores fat. Well, how does it spike? Okay, well, maybe you have sugary stuff or alcohol or processed carbohydrates, like the breads and the rice and the pastas and cookies and cakes and things like that, especially if you have them by themselves. Or maybe you're having a really good healthy meal. You've got your proteins and you've got some vegetables and maybe some fruits and maybe you've got a really nice good meal, but you're having too much of it because you didn't eat well earlier. So now you're having too much. Your body can only take in and metabolize a certain amount, and so it's storing the rest as fat. So it's going to use some, but it's going to store the rest as fat. So if you're not balancing your blood sugar, you can be burning muscle and storing fat all day long, and all that does is slow down your metabolism. So not only does it dysregulate your hormones, it slows down your metabolism. So if you're saying, oh my gosh, my metabolism is so slow, as soon as I hit like 40, or whatever age it happens to be for you, some women it's younger, some women it's a bit older, and you're like, oh my gosh, this weight is showing up around my middle. It doesn't seem, I'm eating healthy. I don't know what's going on. I'm exercising like crazy. That's another thing. If we're doing the wrong type of exercise, that can also trigger a stress response, which then, if your body's perceiving a stressor, you go into the fight or flight mode. And when you do that, your body you have an insulin spike. So there goes the blood sugar, right? We talked about what happens with the blood sugar. And then your body starts also releasing cortisol. So now you've got a double whammy. You've got the blood sugar dysregulation and you've got the cortisol release. Cortisol is not only your stress hormone, it's also your fat storage hormone. So also not a good look, right? So we need to get back to the basics. And how do we know that blood sugar stabilization is our body's love language? It's where we were born into eating. It's the basic we need to get back to. How do we know that? That's how we were born. Okay, think about this. Do you have kids? If you have kids, you'll understand this. If you don't have kids, if you've been around any kids, you're going to get it, okay? Babies, tiny babies, they're first born, or you bring them home from the hospital. What's the first thing they want to do when they wake up? They're not waking up all happy and want to play. They wake up, they're a little bit cranky, they're hungry, they want to eat, right? Okay. That's their body telling them they need fuel, right? So then they cry and you respond and they either get a bottle or breast milk. What's in that breast milk or that formula? It's a balance of a protein, a fat, and a carb together in the right portions, in the right frequencies throughout the day. You can't stuff that baby. It's going to stop when it's satisfied. It's going to cry again when it's hungry. You are at its beck and call, right? Like that's just the way it goes. And that's the way our bodies were born into eating. So somewhere along the line, we ended up thinking that, 3 meals a day is going to be just fine. We'll have 3 larger meals. And then people started structuring those and saying, you should probably just have the big meal in the beginning of the day and eat smaller later. And other people are like, no, you need to fast in the morning and then catch it all up later. And then other people are like, they're not even listening to any of those. They're just super busy in the morning. So if they don't have time for breakfast, they're just grabbing coffee. And then maybe they're going to grab lunch. They're grabbing a salad at lunch and they're having no protein because they really just want to cut back a little bit so that they can avoid that squishy middle. But what they're doing is causing the squishy middle. Okay, coffee's the other thing. And we've talked about it in a live before. And I won't go into that today, but we will come back to it because it's another thing that can cause your body a stress response first thing in the morning. We just talked about that. Stress response is going to also spike insulin, which is blood sugar. It's also going to release cortisol, which is your fat hormone, fat storage hormone. Neither one of these things do you want, right? I mean, based on what I'm telling you, based on the science, this is backed by science, right? Blood sugar science is out there for sure. The thing is, what the world teaches is not really a prevention or a proactive or a way to get your body stable and going. I call it being on cruise control. It's like driving your car on cruise control. It's the most comfortable way to drive, right? You get the most efficient gas mileage. Your car runs nice and smoothly. You don't have to worry about speed traps because of your, getting relaxing on your foot and your foot get heavy. No, you don't have to worry about anything. It's doing the work for you. And so we need to get back to that. And when we do, our bodies are happy. Things come into balance. We achieve that fancy homeostasis word that, that our body wants to be at. And then your hormones can balance too. Why do you want your hormones to balance? Well, right now, if you're in midlife, they're probably doing a little bit of a thing like a pinball machine all over the place. you definitely want to bring them back into balance. You want to calm your nervous system. So when you balance your blood sugar, and it's working to balance your hormones, it helps to reduce some internal inflammation. And an inflamed body won't release weight. Okay, so here's another one. So when you balance your blood sugar, you're putting your body in a position to naturally release stored fat, to protect your muscle. So now there's more muscle available to take up that fat when it's released, to burn it as energy. And when you start doing that on repeat, that's when your metabolism starts to turn back on. So, benefits of blood sugar. Your body is in balance, which means your hormones can balance, which means your body can naturally release stored fat, right? Which means your energy is going to go up, your cravings are going to go down, you're going to start losing that weight, so you're going to start feeling better, your internal inflammation is going to come down, so you're not going to feel so stressed because your body's not now pumping cortisol and insulin like crazy, right? So you're going to feel less stressed on the inside. You're going to lower that stress response, which is amazing, because as our stress amps up, so does our anxiety, right? So does I've talked, seeing a woman, I'm in a menopause group, and a lady was talking the other day about just being so anxious and having panic attacks. But she's, doing some fasting and things like that. I'm like, okay, that may be something that you don't want to do, especially if you're already having these. You definitely want to roll that back. You want to put your body into that nice cruise control zone so that you can start bringing down that internal inflammation, turning off that stress response. You can lower your anxiety. And then the other piece to this is, as you're doing all this, bringing your body back into balance, reducing your inflammation, that's going to lower the stress and the angst going on in your gut. And when we do that, it can heal. Most people have some form of leaky gut happening. So, and most women I talk to in perimenopause and menopause are experiencing gut issues. They're bloating, they're gassy, they're just having digestive issues, maybe diarrhea, maybe constipation. Things are just not flowing and working well, If you're working with me, if you get it, drop a poop emoji, because, we all know things in the gut are not happening well, then we don't feel good, right? But 70% of your health is made in your gut. And up to 95% of those hormones like serotonin and dopamine and melatonin and GABA, the things that control all your moods, your motivation, your focus, your attention, your pleasure, all of those kinds of things are made and regulated in your gut, including your estrogen. So we definitely need to get our blood sugar on track so that we can get our hormones balanced, so that we can allow our body to naturally release stored fat, so that we can reduce our internal inflammation, so that it's not so, we can bring down that internal stress response as well too. And both of those things are going to help heal your gut. And if that's where all your hormones and neurotransmitters are hanging out and where they're regulated, it's going to make them all the much happier and help you to reduce any and all of those menopause symptoms. And there's 103 documented symptoms. You don't want any of them, and you can avoid them. So, all right. Menopause health is all BS. That's what we're talking about here today on the Morning Pause. Thank you for joining me here every morning, 6:15 a.m. PST time, because when you win the morning, you win the day. See you back here again tomorrow. Have a great one. Oh, forgot one thing. Oh my goodness. Registration is now open for the Fit Menopause Method. We are kicking off our next group June 30th. I've had so many people reach out about that. If you saw my stories yesterday, things are blowing up. So space is limited. I am doing an information webinar coming up. If that's something that you've been watching and hearing about, you want to get in on that, the webinar is free. So drop FIT down below, FIT, comment FIT. I will get you the information so that you can register for that webinar and see if it's a good fit for you, right? All right. Thanks for joining me here on the Morning Pause. See you back here tomorrow.